Yes. So, yes, as I was saying, this chapter is about surrender. At least the first section is about surrender. Okay. And surrender because the perplexities of this life cannot be solved by material qualifications. That's the first section. The second section, 11 to 30, it talks about Sankhya Yoga. So, Sankhya Yoga basically means, in a simple term, is the analytical study of matter and spirit. It's basically intellectually understanding this whole world, right? For example, I'll give you an example. If if you like to eat cake, and somebody comes and says, you bring somebody brings you a cake, and you're so happy. But then suddenly somebody what he or she does is he brings you all the ingredients of cake. He brings flour, there is some baking soda, there is some oil, there is some vanilla flavoring or something, whatever. All those parts individually, they don't look very attractive to you. They're not as attractive as the cake for sure, right? Similarly, when you're able to break down this material world into these subsections, we'll get some detachment from this world, right? We all, human beings, we get attracted to the opposite sex. But then, if you see what is this body made up of, there's nothing in there. There's blood. There is bones, and there's this a lot of nonsense in there going on. There, this gross stuff. So that can help us detach. So that's Sankhya Yoga. Okay. And then Krishna then further on goes on to tell Arjun that you do your duty. So doing his duty, and then finally detachment. So all these sections, they answer the questions that Arjun had. I'm not sure if you all can see this, but if you see this, the first his first compassion is answered in the 12, 11 to 30. His enjoyment question is answered in some sections, and then his fear of sinful reactions and all. So all the doubts that he creates, they're answered by Krishna in this chapter. Most of this in this chapter. I think one of them goes to the third chapter, right? So uh, what Krishna is teaches us across Bhagavad Gita is that we should have some sense of responsibility. Responsibility that I am suffering because I took a wrong turn, right? If you notice, if when you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, all the situations that are all the stories in Srimad Bhagavatam, they happen because of some human weakness. Hiranyakashipu, you talk about it. There's a story about Avanti Brahman. There is a story about um, like who was that guy? I'm forgetting things, but even Parikshit Maharaj, right? The whole story of Parikshit Maharaj. So all the stories in Srimad Bhagavatam are because of some human weakness, right? But what do all those people do is they look for divine grace. We should take inspiration from them. Whenever there is insurmountable obstacles, intelligent people look for divine grace, right? So that's the essence. That's what Krishna is going to teach us again and again, again and again. Mameva ye prapadante, mayam etam tarantite, aham sarvasya prabho, mata sarvam pravartate. Ishwar sarva bhutanam hirdeshe arjuna tishtati, sarvasya chaham hirde saniyushta. Krishna actually repeatedly telling again and again, I am there for you, I am there for you, I am there for you. Leave every fear, and come to me. But we don't do that. I always say, no, no, I know what is the right way. So that's what Bhagavad Gita is going to try to teach us, not try to. That's what it's teaching us. We have to try to take it up, right? So when there are uncomfortable situations, I get locked up in lamentation, helplessness. I start thinking, oh, why is this happening to me, right? And I try to solve it by myself. But once I start looking for divine help, the emotional negativity and energy in me slowly gets released. So that's what the whole Bhagavad Gita is going to teach us. So look at it from that perspective. That Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is trying to help us. Sorry, Krishna is helping us. I have to try to take up what Krishna is telling us. Like, everything is focused on that one topic. Yeah? And if you employ this principle in your life, I assure you, you will see changes in your life. Practical. Ninth chapter, second verse, Krishna says, Prataksha Bhagvam Dharmayam Susukham Kartum Abhyayam. Prataksha Bhagvam means it can be practically visualized and felt in your life. Bhakti is not something theoretical and you just close your eyes and then wait that hopefully at the end of my life everything will work out. No, no, you can practice it you can feel it at every step. Right? So yes, that's the way we look at Bhagavad Gita. And then Krishna ends the chapter by talking about a sthita pragya. Sthita Pragya is somebody who's situated in the topmost platform. Okay, so let's start with the where's the book? The book is here. Okay, first verse. So here now that you can see Arjun towards the end of the first chapter, he said, Krishna, I can't fight, right? So he's the now again Sanjay is again the speaker, and he's saying that Arjuna, full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudan, Krishna, spoke the following words, right? And Prabhupada is saying, material compassion, lamentation, and tears are all signs of ignorance of the real self. Be careful. You might see devotees also having tears. You might see devotees also being compassionate. They're actually very compassionate devotees, but their compassion is not on a material level. Their tears are not on a material level. Here, Prabhupada is specifically speaking about material thing. Okay? So that's something I just want to clarify. Don't do it, right? So, oh, why did I move from there? Let me see. Yeah. So, and Prabhupada is right away starting with the point that the bodily emotions are illusory. So Prabhupada is starting with a strong statement. So there are three words that he's using, right? Material compassion, lamentation, and tears. These three words are coming from the verse. I think Kripaya Vishtam, Ashru, and Vishidantam. So Kripaya Vishtam means compassion. Ashru is full of tears, and Vishidantam is lamenting. So Prabhupada is using these three exact words. They're coming from the text, right? So Prabhupada is highlighting that a person's fundamental suffering is because of illusion. And then he says in the next stage sentence, compassion for the eternal souls is self-realization. So we don't have to be hard-hearted. You just have to direct your soft-heartedness towards spiritual realization. And the word that is used here for Krishna is Madhusudan, the killer of Madhu. So killer of Madhu, Madhusudan means what the analogy here is that Madhusudan, Krishna will kill the demon of illusion that we have. He's an expert at slashing our doubts, right? Madhu was a demon who took away the Vedas from Brahma, right? So doubts are like that Madhu demon who take us away from real knowledge, the real self. So when Krishna comes, all our doubts are slashed. So, so that is why I always request you, and I'm going to request you probably a billion times throughout this course, read Bhagavad Gita every day, every single day. You can do a chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day. Don't read the purports, just read the translations. It'll take you hardly 5-10 minutes. Some chapters, if they're long, divide them into 2 or 3 parts. The second chapter has 72 verses, you can divide into 3 parts. 10 minutes, read Bhagavad Gita with full faith in it, and you see the change in your life. So Arjun is showing the condition that we all are in, illusion, and we can be taken away from that illusion by hearing Krishna from Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so that's the first verse. Second verse. Now here Krishna begins the talk. Right? First, this is the first verse Krishna is speaking. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Kutashtua kashmalam idam vishame samupasthitam anarya jushtam asvargyam akirti karam Arjuna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjun, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy. Right? So Arjun has been doing all the talking till now. So Krishna is an expert counselor. Krishna had been very empathetically listening to Arjun. He's just letting Arjun express himself. And that's the way we all should be, right? When somebody comes and opens up their heart to you, don't just start, you are a fool. Let me tell you what to do. Don't do that. Listen to that person. Right? So Krishna is demonstrating that quality. And Krishna is surprised now. He's saying, Kutastva. Where from? Kashmala, this contamination, Vishame. This is a very critical moment. Right? So 3 ways this is inappropriate. It's Anarya Jushtam. Was that good? Anarya Jushtam. It's Anarya Jushtam, it's Aswargam, and it is Akirtikaram. Right? So Um, an Aryan. Can somebody tell me what do they understand when they hear the word Aryan? Aryan civilization or something of that sort. What is
King,
your
kingly, prince,
okay?
royal.
Okay, well, that's a good one. What else do you? What else? Others? Anybody else has any thoughts?
Who follow Vedic traditions?
Okay. What else?
Also, like Vishnu Bhagavan, we refer him to as Achyutam, right? He's like Aryan, right? Can we say that, Prabhuji?
Well, he's Achyutam. He's
Hmm.
infallible. But Aryan, I have not heard that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we can say that.
Okay.
Prabhuji, Kshatriya, Prabhuji?
Kshatriya, okay. Kshatriya, that's a good one. What else?
Warrior.
Yeah, I think we've
A
covered most.
superior race also I've heard.
Okay, superior race. Yeah, that's a good. All these things, all the yes, it's a um, very misused word. Yeah, but that's right. So, this particular verse is a very important verse because Prabhupada is going to bring out three very important concepts in this. I think there are three. Yeah. So he's going to talk about first of all the absolute truth and how the absolute truth is understood in three different phases: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And we'll go through those things. Then Prabhupada is going to talk about what Bhagavan means. He's going to give this verse. This is a verse spoken by Vyasadev's father, Parashara Muni. Parashara Muni? Yes. Uh, yeah, so he'll give the six qualities of a Bhagavan. That's something he's going to talk about. Aishwarasya Samagrasya Virya Yasha Shreya Jnana Vairagyaschaiva Shri Iti Shri I forgot the last part, but yeah, so there are six qualities. So that's the second thing. And then last but not least, Prabhupada is going to talk about the word Aryan. What does Aryan mean? Okay, so these three things. So we'll talk about them. So let's start with the Aryan word. We're talking about it. So this Aryan word has been misused for centuries now. Okay, when the Britishers, when they came to India, or even before that, Britishers were very megalomaniac. They thought that they are the only civilized race in the world, and all the others are animalistic and uncivilized, and it's their duty to fix everybody. That was the mindset these Britishers had, not these Britishers had in the time, right? So when they came to India, they were surprised to see a race which was majestic, which was extremely well refined, right? Very civilized. They had a language which was superior than the languages that the Britishers knew about, the Greek, the Latin. There was that. So it was a very, very advanced civilization they came in touch with, right? And they were shocked by that because, as I said, they were under this thought. They were so deeply enrooted in them, in their mind that they are the only uh, civilized race in this whole world, and everybody else was uncivilized and uncultured. It was a very severe superiority complex they had, right? Okay, so they were not able to digest this. Okay, uh, and you can read this. I mean, I don't want you to read this, but yeah, you can see there were a lot of Indologists, so-called Indologists. There was this guy called what was that? Max Mueller. There is this guy called Monier Williams, and a lot of these so-called Indologists who wrote about India at that time, and they documented it that our culture was far superior than whatever these Britishers had seen, Greek, Latin, whatever. It became very unacceptable for them. Right? They were thinking themselves civilized and everybody else was barbarian, and they couldn't just tolerate it. So what did they devise? They created a philosophy, a thought process. They said there was this race, so-called the Aryan race, which came and uh, which civilized Europe, and then they also came to India to civilize them. Right. So the whole purpose behind the philosophy that the Britishers came was they wanted to rule India. However, they could not rule India if we already are so well rooted in our culture and spiritual beliefs. So they had to somehow make us hate ourselves. Right? So That was the philosophy they came with. So they had to say that the culture you have is not yours. Somebody else came here to give it to you. So when the Britishers, so again, Britishers, before Britishers, the Muslims were here in India. The Muslims came, they destroyed the temples, they looted the temples. A lot of people started following Islam, but Hindus and Islamic Muslims, they used to live in harmony. There was no problem. When the Britishers came, their strategy was much more deeper. They wanted to destroy the faith that we had, right? So what they did was they started misinterpreting the Vedic literature in a systematic way that destroyed our faith. So they said Aryans were somebody else. There was a very civilized race that came from somewhere else. You all were uncivilized. That race came and gave it to you. Okay. But the Aryan means is so as you know, I think one of you said that Aryan means, and Prabhupada also says this in the purport, I think, about Aryans. Aryan is applicable to persons who know the value of life and a civilization based on spiritual realization. Okay. So I think what one of you said, I think it was Julian Yatra who said that it was Vedic. Vedic is not necessarily Aryan. Aryan is spiritual realization. You have to understand that very specifically. It has to be spiritually aligned. That's an Aryan person. Vedas can be spiritually aligned, might not be. It's a broader term, but spiritual realization, yes. So that's what the Britishers came. They very systematically broke our faith, and even today we have not been able to come out of that. You know, you see, the parents don't teach the next generation why they're practicing something. You know, why do we worship demigods? Who's Bhagavan? They don't teach anything to their children. Right? It's like how they say in Hindi, right? There's a darkness under a lamp, diya tale andhera, as they say. So that's the thing that's happening in India now. Right? And this Aryan philosophy became so famous all over the world. Hitler actually convinced his whole country that they were the Aryan race. Right? And that's why now the Aryan race has a negative connotation to it. And yeah, so that's what happened. So Hitler took it up, and then, but then when Prabhupada came and Bhaktisiddhanta, even his guru Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur came, they started giving this knowledge that Aryan is a spiritual designation. It's not a racial designation, right? And because of that, the German government banned the Gaudiyas in Germany. They became very angry, right? So yes, so that's what the whole Aryan is about, right? Europeans, Britishers, very systematically trying to break our spiritual backbone, which they succeeded in doing, unfortunately. You go out on the street, I must have met thousands and thousands of people who said, we know what Bhagavad Gita is about. And when you ask them, they say, oh, apna karm karo, do your job, do your duty. This is just I feel very sad when I hear people say that. Bhagavad Gita has 700 verses, and all you could remember was half of a verse, not even the full verse, just half of it. So that's the extent of damage that the Britishers did. And that's how they brought this Aryan philosophy, how they contaminated our minds, how they very systematically convinced the people, the intelligent class of people, that how can your God be a thief? Your God is a thief. How can a thief be a God? Because they didn't understand the loving relationship of a devotee with Bhagavan. All they could see was from a materialistic perspective. And unfortunately, people in India, they accepted it. That is why we had so many different sections coming up. Arya Samaj, Brahmo Samaj, whatnot. So many kind of ridiculous philosophies that popped up. Because people were eager to merge their identity with the Britishers. They started feeling low about themselves. Yeah. I go to India many years ago. When I started going to India, when I took up bhakti, and then you wear dhotis, right? So I used to give my dhoti for ironing. And when I went into first time, and then the guy who was ironing my clothes, he came back and said, "What is this?" I was asking my mother, what is this? Nobody wears this nowadays. Like, so people just forgotten our culture very comfortably, and they're proud of it. A very bad situation to be in. So that's the Aryan thing, okay? Then the other thing now Prabhupada is talking about in this is about the, I'll take a pause here. Any questions about the Aryan base?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. In the beginning, you said three concepts: Brahma, Brahman,
Paramatma and Bhagwan.
Paramatma. Okay, thank you.
So I'm going to talk about that. That's the
Okay.
second topic I'm going to talk about. Yeah. Okay. So if there are no questions about the Aryan, all clear. So, okay. So then the next thing Prabhupada is going to talk about, because the reason here is because this is the first time here the word Shri Bhagavan Vacha has come up. That is why the reason Prabhupada is going to into details into what the absolute truth means, what Bhagavan means. Entire Bhagavad Gita, whenever Krishna speaks, it's Shri Bhagavan Vacha. All our Shastras, wherever you go, it's always about Shri Bhagavan Vacha. It can be other demigods, Indra Uvacha, Brahma Uvacha, everything, but nobody is designated as Bhagavan except Krishna. That is why Prabhupada has brought up this thought process of what is Bhagavan? What does it mean? So he's just elaborating upon that topic. Okay, so now three things. There is Brahman, there is Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Okay, so now Prabhupada is giving us a way of understanding this. Let's read this part. Okay. These three divine aspects can be explained by the example of the sun, which also has three different aspects, namely the sunshine, the sun's surface, and the sun planet itself. One who studies the sunshine only is the preliminary student. One who understands the sun's surface is further advanced, and one who can enter into the sun planet is the highest. Ordinary students who are satisfied by simply understanding the sunshine, its universal pervasiveness and glaring effulgence of its impersonal nature, may be compared to those who can realize only the Brahman feature of the absolute truth. Then there are students who has advanced still further. They can know the sun disk, which is compared to knowledge of the Paramatma feature of the absolute truth. And the student who can enter into the heart of the sun planet is compared to those who realize the personal feature of the supreme absolute truth. Okay, so so one thing to understand is it's not like the Brahman feature is lower than the Paramatma feature, or the Paramatma and Brahman feature are lower than the Bhagavan feature. The only difference is how we as living entities perceive it. Understand it that way. Okay, like there is another example I can give you. When let me see if I can think of that properly. Okay, let's look at this. There is a village, a railway station has been created, a rail track has been constructed, and for the first time, there are three children who are going to see a train. They've never seen a train in their life. They're waiting on the platform. It's night, it's very dark. After waiting for some time, they hear a whistle and they see a light approaching. Seeing this, one child gets excited and runs into the village and declaring that, oh, I saw the train, I saw the train. Right? So when asked by the villagers, the child says, oh, the train is light and sound. That's it. The child is not wrong. But since he returned early, he could not get the full experience of the train. Now the other two children are still waiting on the train. So when the train approaches closer and their eyes familiarize, they perceive that more than the light and sound, the train also has an engine. It has several bogies, it has wheels, and so on and so forth. Seeing this, the second child runs back to the village and describes his version of the train. Again, this child's description is not wrong, but it is incomplete, since that's what the child saw. The third child waits and he sees that the train has halted, right? And then he sees that there was a person driving it and that he gets to meet the person. And then he gets to know everything about the train. When this child returns, he explains everything about the train. The driver, the engine, the bogies, the light, the horn, everything. It's not about whose version is correct. It is a matter of completeness and incompleteness. The third child got an almost complete perception of the train because he was patient enough to see completely, right? So when one seeks spiritual truth, by practicing and with patience, one gets a realization that there is an effulgent or a pervasive energy across in this world. That is Brahman realization. When that perception becomes stronger and stronger, then we start thinking that that there's somebody who's conscious, who's running the show here, right? Like, okay, there's somebody is maintaining this. That's the Paramatma feature. But then the third aspect, that person sees that there is all pervasive energy. There's one person who's running the show, who's maintaining this whole creation, but that other person has a life of its own also. So a devotee who's like the one who seeks Bhagavan, he can see that Krishna is maintaining this world also, but then he has relationship of his own also. He's enjoying in the spiritual world. He's not like his job is only to take care of this world. He's enjoying the spiritual world also. He has his family, he has his loved ones, he has his friends, he plays, he eats. He's Bhagavan. So that's the difference between all these three steps. So, but then I'm going to repeat myself. Don't get confused thinking that um, that Brahman and Paramatma are lower. No, just like those three boys looking at the train, it's just the way that the children that we are looking at that. They all are complete in itself, in themselves. Okay, I hope that was a good enough explanation.
But Prabhuji, they didn't, the first two kids, they didn't get the full experience of what a train is. So
Yeah.
they have a partial knowledge of what the train is. Only the third one has a full knowledge of what the train actually is, right?
Yes.
So we can't, it's not okay to say that, they didn't completely realize, right? The first two.
Yeah, they didn't realize it. You're right.
Yeah.
They didn't realize it. What I meant to say was they were looking at train in partial ways, incomplete ways. But
Uh-huh.
that doesn't mean the train was not complete in itself. The train was
Right.
complete. They just
Right.
didn't perceive it.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
So don't that's a common misconception devotees sometimes have, is that, oh, Brahman is lower than Brahman is lower. Oh, we don't pray to Brahman. No. Brahman is also a feature of Krishna. It's just that I can't realize anything beyond Brahman, or that is why that's only what I can realize. So that's my limitation, not the limitation of Brahman or Paramatma. That's what I just want to highlight. Okay, so this was the second concept. And I'll talk about this concept more in the third chapter also. This will come up again. I can talk more. But was that good enough for people to be clear on the topic? Okay, no comments means it's clear. And I encourage all of you, you should write down questions. You should ask questions. When you ask, that's how you clarify your doubts. You don't have to necessarily ask me. If you have somebody else whom you have faith on that the person has convincing answers, please go to them. But ask questions. That helps you expand your devotional experience. Okay, so that's the second thing that we talked about. And now the third thing that we wanted to talk about was, oh yes, Krishna's, right? So this verse, Prabhupada is translating, is coming from Sanskrit. Oh yeah, Parashar Muni, right? Yeah. He says this. So there are 6 qualities in Krishna, incomplete. Riches, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. Only who has these 6 qualities in completeness is Bhagavan. There are many persons, Prabhupada is saying, there are many persons who are very rich, very powerful, very beautiful, very famous, but no one can claim that he possesses all riches, all strength, etc. entirely. Only Krishna can claim. And that is why Krishna is Bhagavan. Okay? And then Prabhupada is quoting this verse, the first verse of Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Nadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. Right? So Brahma Samhita is a glorification of Lord Brahma for Bhagavan, for Krishna. When Mahaprabhu, when he was traveling South India, he found a copy of the 5th chapter of Brahma Samhita, which he had his disciples manually translate, and that's why we have it today. So if you haven't read it, read it, memorize Brahma Samhita. It's a beautiful prayer to sing. Okay, we talked about the word Aryan. Okay, and so Krishna is calling Arjun an Aryan, non-Aryan, right? So although Arjun was a Kshatriya, he was deviating from his prescribed duty by declining to fight. This act of cowardice is described as befitting the non-Aryan. Such deviation from duty does not help one in the progress of spiritual life, nor does it even give one the opportunity to become famous in this world. Lord Krishna did not approve of the so-called compassion of Arjun for his kinsmen. Yep. Not a good thing, Krishna is telling Arjun. Okay, third verse. Klaibyam masmagama partha naitatvai upapadyate shudram hirdya daurbalyam tyaktvotishtha parantapa. O son of Pritha, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of enemy. So now what he's calling him? Klebyam, impotent. Right? He's calling him impotent now. Krishna is really, how do you say that? Adding insult to injury here. It's a verbal slap. Impotent. He's calling Arjun impotent. Shudra, another verbal slap. Kshatriya is a personification of masculinity, right? Of strength and power. And it's not a caste-based insult, but a quality-based insult. So that's what Krishna is doing here. So what Krishna is doing, and you will notice that in the next verse, Arjuna starts speaking again. Okay. So you will notice that Krishna just spoke 2 verses. So what Krishna is doing here, Krishna is just going to give a pep talk to Arjuna to inspire him and to start acting again. Right. So this is just, like you sometimes to incite somebody, you can say what. So he's calling him Klebya. And he tries to bring memories back. If you all, I don't know if you all, in Mahabharata, when they were out in incognito mode, they were living in the palace of Kashi, king of Kashi. And there Arjun was an impotent. He had been cursed by one of the apsaras in the heaven that he has to live as an impotent for a year. So he was living as an impotent.
As a woman, right, Prabhu?
Not a woman.
Dressed like a woman.
Impotent. Neither a woman nor a man. He was an impotent.
Oh.
So he was like a eunuch. That's what he was living as. So that's what Krishna is calling him right now. You don't act like a eunuch. So it's a dignified way of chastising somebody. But Arjun's depression was very weak, right? He was very weak. And I think Prabhupada, does Prabhupada bring that up here? Let me see. What's here? I'm trying to see for some. Give me a second. Okay, probably I can't find it. I'll see if I can find it. But oh, here it is. I was looking for this phrase, weakness of heart. So Krishna is calling him weakness of heart. Right? So the word weakness of heart, it's Hridaya-daurbalya. That's what weakness of heart means. We all have 4 major weaknesses of heart. Okay. I might have it on the slide also. Let me see if here they are. Okay. The first one is Asat Trishna. Asat Trishna means being attached to insignificant things. Right? What can be? Clothes, jewelry, whatnot, heavenly comforts, all that stuff. Sorry, I'm saying there are 4 kinds of anarthas. Sorry, I said 4 kinds of, not in Hindebon, but these are anarthas that we have. And Hridaya-daurbalyam is one of them. Okay. So then there are 4 types of weakness of heart, which are further defined here. One is being attached to insignificant things. Then there is duplicity. We have duplicity in our heart. I pretend to be someone I'm not. There is envy in my heart. And there is pratishtha. There is a desire for name, fame, adoration, respect. That's there. So those are the weakness of the heart. And there are 4 apradhs that can all come together and accentuate the weakness of my heart. So there is Asat Trishna, there is Hridaya-daurbalya. There are offenses that we do. Offenses against devotees. Offenses against the service we do. Offenses against the holy name. There can be a lot of them. And we'll talk about these in more detail as we go across Bhagavad Gita. And then there is one major anartha is Swarup Brahma. Swarup Brahma means a misconception about who I am. I think I'm this body. So there are 4 major weaknesses of the heart that I was talking about, right? Attached to insignificant things, kutinati, duplicity, matsarya, envy, and pratishtha, desire for fame. So we all have these things in our heart, weakness of the heart. And what Krishna is saying, when you read the Bhagavad Gita, when you hear me, that weakness of your heart will go away. Arjun, we all are Arjun here, right? So, and how does these weaknesses of the heart come in? I am incompatible with matter. I don't know if you all have realized this. I'm sure you all have. But whatever I expect from this world, it never comes to that extent. There's always some flaw. There's some incompatibility there. You like to eat good food, yes, you get stomach upset. You want to, all the tasty food just makes you fat. It's a very confusing thing, that why did Krishna make all the healthy things, not tasty, and the unhealthy things tasty? And so this world is incompatible. We are incompatible with this world, just to let you know. But we become enamored by it. We get attracted to it, right? And then when I get attracted to it, now I want to own it. We don't have any association with this world, with this material world, right? But then when I come to this world, I start meditating. Oh, I wish I could have this. Right? Krishna talks about this towards the end of this chapter. Dhyayato vishayan pupsam sangas teshu upjayate, sangas sanjayate kaman, kaman krodho bijayate. So where does it all start? When you start contemplating about the objects of the senses. That's the beginning of the weakness of the heart. And from there, attachment comes, and attachment from lust comes, and lust from all that. It just expands from there. Right? So so that's where the weakness of the heart comes from, and that's what Krishna is telling Arjun, that you have become weak in heart, right? That's what Krishna is telling Arjun. Okay, so now comes back. Yes, Gandharvika Mataji.
Hare Krishna. I don't know why I don't know this, but those Varna system, are they only applying to men? So when you said Kshatriyas is a personification of masculinity.
No. When I used the word masculinity, what I was meaning was, like
I understand what you meant. I totally understand that, but
okay.
Their families, because it's applying to the quality of a person, not as the birth.
Yes, that's what I said. That's why when Krishna is insulting Arjun, it's not an insult to his caste, like a caste of a Kshatriya. It's an insult to the quality that he should have, the quality of strength, the quality of, because Kshatriyas are meant to be protectors of the society. But here you see a Kshatriya who's become very weak. So it's a quality-based insult. That's what I said.
I'm just curious, Kshatriya's wives and children, are they belong to different varnas by their qualities, especially wives, the women?
So in the olden days, when marriages used to happen, they would not, it's not like they would, it could happen, but it was very rare that a Kshatriya would marry a Brahmana, or a Brahmana would marry a Vaishya. It wouldn't happen that way. So according to the how do you say it? The qualities, they will be brought together. The families would be brought together. So to answer your question, a Kshatriya prince would have a Kshatriya wife, like that.
So all women, they have their varnas.
So yes, so they have the varna that they are like, just like Arjun is born in a Kshatriya family. So similarly, a woman who's born in a Kshatriya family, so she is a Kshatriya. She's a Kshatriya princess. Yes. Is that what you're asking?
Because we want to be like a Brahma by quality, not by birth. So
yes.
If that applies, then the women born in Brahman, they are also Brahman. But we are not agreeing that.
So in Kali Yuga, all are Shudras. So just to clarify.
Right.
In Kali Yuga, we are not Brahmins, we are not Kshatriyas, we are nothing. So, but then even in this world, in Kali Yuga, you can see that there are people who are warrior nature, right? People who become, who go to the army, and they're very strong. They have that mindset. But then there are people who are very intelligent people. They're not meant to go and fight wars on the battlefront, but they're extremely intelligent. They can do things that's a Brahmin class. There are some people who are very good in business. That's the Vaishya class. So even people might not be actually following the exact varnas, but that mindset still exists, and you can see that in the society today also. So it's not like that kind of those varnas are extinct now in Kali Yuga. It's not that.
Yeah, I'm just curious about the women's varna 5,000 years back.
So the woman's varna would be the same as the husband's varna. Okay. Because as I said, the families would come together only on the basis of the qualities, not on the basis of you're good looking, that's why you will get married to her. That's
Children,
only Kali thing.
before they get married, like daughters, before they get married, they just follow their family's fathers.
Yes. Yeah. That they'll follow the family's varnas, whatever their family's
So
varnas
that's
are.
pretty much the same as the caste system, that is honoring the varna by the birth.
Well, it's not that way. If somebody is born in a Kshatriya family and they have qualities of let's say a Brahmin, they're not going to stop them from being a Brahmin. If that's what you're asking me. Is that what you're asking? That we cannot change varnas? Is that what you're asking me?
My question, I was just curious about the women's part. I mean, totally clear that Arjuna is Kshatriya, but the people who married into or before or after they get married, how their varnas change. And I understand they follow their family, but then that's against what we, criticize about caste system, the current caste system, because they claim their varna by birth. Because even if 5,000 years ago, Kshatriya's daughter might be having no quality of Kshatriyas, but she would have that varna in her batch, and then would marry a Kshatriya family. You know what I mean? So how do we understand that?
So understand this way. When a child used to be born, they would make a horoscope and they would determine the nature of the child. Okay? And you can understand what is the nature of the child, whether he has Kshatriya tendencies or Brahman tendencies. And then marriage was done according to the compatible nature. Right? So the nature of the child is determined before marriage. That's why when a child would go to a Gurukul, the Guru could determine what is the nature of this child. So it's not like it's a birth-based, that's what I'm trying to clarify. It's not that women, if they're born in a Kshatriya family, they have to be Kshatriyas. No, that's not it. Women have their own varna, which is determined separately from the person she's going to marry.
Correct.
However, you have to understand that the nature of the husband and the wife should be compatible. Therefore, I'm saying that the varna of a husband can be used to determine the varna of the wife, because they both are compatible with each other. The natures have been matched. They have an understanding of what that person's nature is, and accordingly they have been brought together. So that's an ideal situation. Now, did that make sense? I'm not sure if that made sense to you.
I mean, yes, and still, like, if I was born in 5,000 years ago, I would be like, they would honor my dharma, my nature, and even though I was born in Brahma's family, if I'm a Sudra quality, I would still, live a life as a Sudra, following my varna by my nature.
Yeah.
And was very predominant at the time. Right now, everything is mushy. 99% of them are Sudras, and we don't know what our true varna is. But back then, 5,000 years back then, when we are not talking about Brahman, Kshatriya, they are very obvious. The sannyasis are Brahman, Arjuna is Kshatriya, but all other people, the majority of population, that how just curious. We never talked about. I never had the question before until now.
So I'm not sure if I fully understand your question. So
if people who are not famous, people like, let's say I was born in Brahma's family, but I had the Sudra's quality. Like, how do I live my life on with
as
my
a Shudra? As a Shudra.
And I would marry to Sudra family?
Yes.
They would just
your nature will attract you towards similar-minded people.
But then they would arrange marriage by family.
So it was not necessarily always. So for example, in Srimad Bhagavatam, there is Devahuti, who's Kapila's mother. Devahuti was born in a Kshatriya family, but her nature was Brahminical. So she was married into a Brahmin family. She was married to Kardama Muni. She felt attracted to him, right? And so the point is that uh, when the duties are concerned, the husband and wife should be of the same nature for success of the endeavor of them coming together.
Right.
Right. So yes, if somebody's born in a Shudra family, they would get attracted to a Shudra natured person. And because the nature of that person is Shudra, they will have to do it that way. If you marry a person who's a Shudra nature to somebody who's a Brahmanical nature, the marriage is going to be a destruction, it will be devastation.
Right.
And that will not be approved. So I don't know if you think if you're so thinking about that, there were only arranged marriages. Yes, but then there was also this concept of understanding the person's nature. It was not just fixed arranged marriage, whatever your nature may be, you just marry. That's not the case. That was not the case 5,000 years ago.
Okay.
And if you can just write down your question and send it to me, and we can talk more. But yeah, I think I'm not fully understanding your question. That's also a bit challenging.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
there were things about, there was Vilom marriages, like if there are things in Prabhupada has discussed these things. If you read, I think Srimad Bhagavatam, there are places where I mean, I don't remember all those verses, but I saw that like if a daughter, if a Kshatriya women cannot I mean, they can marry the Brahman, but because Brahman is high, so she can marry. But if there is the Kshatriya girl, no, Brahman girl cannot marry the Kshatriya because it is lower. Prabhupada has written about these kind of marriages these things somewhere.
I think I kind of understood that.
Because I think where was it was Maharaj Yayati's marriage to Sharmishtha. There was some opposition or something like that, because not Sharmishtha. There was another girl. There was Sharmishtha and Devyani, I guess.
I think what you should do is you should first tell me what the question is that we're discussing.
I do not know the question, but I'm just telling you that what Prabhupada has said about marriages.
Because I need to understand the question, because I thought that I've conveyed, but I know the question might have. So yes, Kandarviganda, you have to first give us a question, what you're thinking of, think about it, and then post it in the group so that we all can think about it and we can discuss it the next time.
Will do.
Good. Thank you. Okay, so that was the third verse. So now Krishna has stopped talking again. So you will notice that Krishna only spoke 2 verses, and then Arjun kicks in again. So, but now what is the nature of Arjun? Arjun is saying, "O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counterattack with arrows in battle men like Bhishma and Drona, who are worthy of my of my worship?" Okay, so now we are seeing that Arjun is not convinced. Krishna gave a pep talk. He didn't give a serious guidance. Because why didn't Krishna give him a serious guidance? Because Arjun has not yet accepted him as guru. Right? So a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. You can lead a man to wisdom, but you can't make him think. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, as they say. So yes, Arjun was not convinced. So he's calling him Madhusudan and then Adhisudan. That you will kill as I said, you'll kill the demon of my doubt, right? And he's saying that, will you kill your guru? Will you shoot arrows at Sandipani Muni? No one knows you as Sandipani Sudan. So you want me to know it as Bhishma Sudan? Sudan means the killer, Drona Sudan, right? So it's a childlike argument that Arjun is doing now. Right? So the first problem for Arjun was how to kill the kinsmen, family men. Now, when he was chastised by Arjun as a friend, saying that, "Oh, why are you so weak? Don't be weak." So now he's saying, "All right, Krishna, you're talking about my kinsmen. I accept that it is my weakness. But how do you advise me to kill my guru?" However, if it's for Krishna's sake, if there is a need, You have to kill your guru also. That's the philosophy. For Krishna's sake. If Krishna wants you to do something, then you have to do it. That is Krishna conscious. Of course, Krishna will never ask you to do that. So, because Krishna and Guru are the same. So, yeah. Right. But in some cases, the Guru can be rejected. Bali Maharaj rejected Shukracharya. Right. So yes. So Arjun is not yet convinced. And then in fifth one, he's saying the same thing, right? So it would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they're killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. Okay. So now Arjun is substantiating his point further, right? So he's saying if a guru acts in an unworthy way, the guru can be removed from his position, right? So, who was that? Yeah. So even though desiring worldly gain, they are my superiors. So what he's hinting at is because Droda and Bhishma, they were like kind of paid employees of Dronacha of Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra. So he's saying that they remained silent when Draupadi was being disrobed. So by allowing adharma to happen, they have become contaminated. But Arjuna is saying they're still great souls. So Draupadi's pastime was very traumatic for everyone. Right? But then why did Bhishma remain silent? So at one level, you can think of it that how many ever protectors we may have, right? But it's only Krishna who can protect us. Right? The whole world can put us in situations. No one will be able to protect us. We have no protector other than Krishna. This was the message of that pastime, the Draupadi pastime, right? And Bhishma was fighting with the Kauravas because he was duty bound, and so even though they are doing something wrong, Arjun is still considering them as great souls. So that's again a mindset of a very material level person, that they are doing something wrong, but still you are considering them as superiors, right? Nowadays there are some gurus who are very famous, and I know that I'm not going to name them out. There are gurus who are very famous in India, and if you go and check their lineage, their spiritual master is in jail. And if you ask them that, oh, your spiritual master is in jail, he did something very heinous, he was mistreating children and killing and murdering whatnot. And they say, oh, even Krishna's parents were in jail. So that's kind of the nonsense that's been propagated in the world on the name of bhakti, in India especially. So you have to be very, very cautious whom you listen to, whom you hear, whom you follow. Don't just go doing that without a proper thought. That's what Arjuna is demonstrating here. Oh, they did all that nonsense. Still, they are very good. It's a very, very contaminated mindset that he's having. Okay, we'll do 6 and then we'll wrap up, because 7th is an important verse. We'll need to spend some time on it. So this is the kind of the indecision we were talking about. This is the 5th defect, the 5th problem Arjuna is demonstrating. Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. Right? So this is the Arjun's 5th reason, lament indecision. Right? So Arjun has 2 options, fight or not fight. If he fights, he kills relatives and he'll not be able to enjoy. Second, if he fights and loses, he loses his life. He's not concerned of his life. Right? Other option is not to fight and live like a beggar. But that's a disgrace for a Kshatriya. Right? Krishna told him that leads to infamy. So Arjun sees a lose-lose situation. So therefore he says, I don't know what to do. And when you reach a situation where you say, I don't know what to do, that is the beginning of intelligence. Intelligence means what to do when we don't know what to do. Okay, so that's intelligence. Prabhupada appreciates Arjun's statements and hints towards his intelligence in the purport. Right? So we have 3 paths we can follow. One is Gyan. Gyan means you can demonize this material world. Oh, this material world is useless, place of misery. Forget this nuisance. Everything is meant to give me suffering. Right? Desires are a cause of misery. Right? So detach from everything. Then there is this karma marg. You romanticize this world. Every Bollywood movie is about this, romanticizing the material world, right? If I could just fix a couple of things, this world will be beautiful, it'll become like heaven for me. But then the third is bhakti, where we utilize the world. We don't demonize it, we don't romanticize it. We utilize the world. We use everything for bhakti for this purpose. Everything in this world can be used as a paraphernalia for Krishna's service. We eventually have to come to bhakti. But we will spend a lot of time, lifetimes probably, in demonizing or romanticizing this world. So don't go through that indecision path. Read Bhakti, read Bhagavad Gita, be happy and go back home, back to Godhead. Okay, that's the end.